far away from getting a commercial driver's license, but if anyone has any aspirations to get one, you're held at a higher level. So all these semis on the roads, any box trucks, big vehicles, they're held to a much higher standard. The reason for that is because they're considered professional drivers, and they also have an 80,000-pound weapon that they're behind, as opposed to a 4,000-pound van or car. So you'll lose your commercial driver's license for at least 1 year on the first offense if you drive a commercial vehicle with your alcohol concentration is 0.04. So they have half the limit. So theirs is 0.04, other people's are 0.08. But we can also be arrested if it's under a 0.8, right? Okay. If your alcohol concentration is less than a 0.04 but detectable, you will be put out of service for 24 hours. What that means is they have a logbook. They can't drive anywhere for 24 hours. That's a big deal to them because they have to make timelines on where they're bringing their merchandise. Drive any vehicle when your alcohol concentration is 0.8 or above. Refuse a breath, blood, or urine test while driving any motor vehicle. If you leave the scene of a crash involving a motor vehicle that you were driving, use any motor vehicle to commit a felony. So what that means, if you use a motor vehicle to commit a felony, if you go do a burglary and you're driving that vehicle, or you elude police, that type of thing. If the offense occurs while you are operating a commercial motor vehicle that is placarded for hazardous materials, you will lose your commercial driver's license for at least 3 years. You guys already went through the hazardous material placards? When you see them on the back of semis? Do you go through that?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay. So those triangles on the back, that just means that there's hazardous materials inside that semi. A second offense will result in permanent loss of your commercial driver's license. Using a commercial motor vehicle to commit a felony involving controlled substances will result in permanent loss of your commercial driver's license. Drivers who have a commercial license and are arrested for impaired driving in a passenger vehicle will be unable to obtain a work permit for a commercial vehicle during the withdrawal period. Let's see, other laws related to alcohol and controlled substances. Open container. It is unlawful to drink or have an open container of any alcoholic beverage inside a motor vehicle when it is in public street or highway. It is also unlawful for any passenger to drink or have an open container of any alcohol beverage inside a motor vehicle. So that goes back to what you were talking about. Have you guys heard the people always say roadies? They bring a couple beers with them on the road, the passengers do. You can't have that. So basically when you go, people always say, well, what if I came from the store and I bought stuff? If everything's sealed up, you can have it in your back seat. If we see that the seal is broken, then yes, you can be cited for open container. And there shouldn't be any containers in with someone that's under 21. If there's a person over 21, like your parents are with you and they went and bought a bottle of wine or their communion wine, then yeah, that can be in the back. Controlled substances in motor vehicles. It is unlawful to use, possess, or sell controlled substances in a motor vehicle. That kind of goes without saying. Controlled substances, that's weed, any kind of hard narcotic. And I'll tell you guys, weed is a big epidemic with younger people and everyone, I guess. But I can smell weed before I even get up to the car. It's so pungent. It is. I mean, well, I don't know if I can ask that. People have smelled weed. You know how pungent it is and how gross it smells. There's a difference between green weed and burnt marijuana as well. So just know that we can smell it. If I say, where's the weed at in the car, I can usually smell it. If I smell weed in a car, I get to get everyone out of that car, and I get to basically tear apart your car and look for the weed. You also get searched. So, yeah. Does anyone have any questions about that? Should we go through? I can go through some field sobriety on whoever wants to give it a shot. I'm going to do it without them being any goggles, so I could show you guys what exactly I'm looking for. It's not just voodoo stuff that I just make a decision out of nowhere. These are all very standardized since the 80s, and I'm looking for very specific things. It doesn't mean that it's a pass or fail. I'm not just making stuff up. I'm actually looking for exact certain things, and I'll tell you what those are. So
You guys don't renounce the alphabet backwards, do you? You guys
So the three, there's many tests that we can do, right? The three I do on every single arrest is the HGN. So that's your eye test. It's called horizontal gaze nystagmus, and I'll explain it when I do it. Then there's the walk and turn test. That's the infamous walk in a straight line, turn around. Okay, there's a lot more to it, but I'll explain that. And then the one leg stand. That's where you obviously stand on one leg. After that, I'm going to show you the Romberg test. What that's going to indicate is marijuana use or like a methamphetamine use or cocaine use. I don't do the alphabet. I have seen officers do it, but what they do is they say, recite the alphabet from G to P without singing. So what that does is, it's hard to start the alphabet at a, without saying A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So that's why they do it at different sections. So there's that. There's a finger dexterity where you touch your fingertips. I don't do those. I usually can tell within those four tests how impaired you are. I've heard stories of back in the day where troopers would take out a thing of change and throw it on the ground and say, only pick up the dimes. And they make you pick up the dimes. Usually if you fall, then man, that means you're impaired. All right, so I'll do, did you have one?
Well, yeah, I wanted to.
Oh, you want to do it? Okay, I can do it a couple times to a couple different people so you can see, and then we'll do the walk and turn with the goggles. Granted, these goggles, you're not going to have the effects of unsteadiness. It's basically just your vision and balance. So I'll explain other things that I see.
How do stimulants affect you driving and like your perception and all that?
So when he says stimulants, that means your methamphetamine, your cocaine makes you just your death grip in the steering wheel, and you're just like that. And then when I stop you, you just kind of go like this to me, and you're just like, no, I'm driving, no, I gotta go this way. And then they're very, very fast talking, and they just want to get on with it. So with that, most of the time you're gonna see for some reason you're gonna see slow driving, but very attentive. They're gonna be right up to it and just staring. They're not gonna see anything else. So they may be going through a stop sign and just blow it because they don't even see it. They're just so concentrated on staying in one thing, they can't concentrate on anything else. So they're just laser beam straight. So that's how you're gonna see that, and that's gonna affect people differently.
I have a question.
All right.
Okay, so because I've heard so many different things, so if you have a commercial license and you're not in your commercial car, what's the legal limit?
That is a good one. So if you are not in a capacity of work in a commercial vehicle, but you still have a commercial driver's license, you are still held to those standards.
That's what I thought.
I have a commercial driver's license, Class A. So I go out, have a couple of drinks, and start driving. My legal limit is no longer an 08. I turned that right over when I signed for my commercial driver's license. My legal limit now is a .04, which for me, a .04, that's probably about 2 or 3 drinks. So take that into account. So if you decide to get a commercial license because of what you want to do in life, or you just want a commercial license like I do, take that into effect. It doesn't matter what you're driving. You are still held to those